From 13 ABC, Conklin and Company, with 13 ABC Action News anchor Lee Conklin. First, with what's happening behind the headlines. And Take 3, our panel of political analysts.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome into Conklin and Company. Today on the program, Battleground, Ohio, with the president making his way to Maumee and points east this week. The GOP trying to stay a step ahead with its own list of heavy hitters. That and much more on the way in Take 3 today. Plus, the wild, wacky summer of 2012 doesn't necessarily point to global warming. And you'll learn more about our new meteorologist, Justin Ryan, as well. But first, highlighting one of the crown jewels of Northwest Ohio, maybe a secret, and a major event that goes along with it as well. Sandy Bin, Oregon City Councilwoman, active member of the Toledo Lighthouse Preservation Society, joins us on Conklin and Company. First time in a couple of years. Sandy, good to see you again.
Thank you. Good morning.
Labor of love for you, this lighthouse, right?
Absolutely. You can see it from where we live. It's 5 miles out. Toledo Lighthouse is very unique amongst lighthouses because it's buff brick, 4,000 square feet. It has a cellar. The house-like part, this morning they were talking, there it is. As you can see, someone described it today as a house with a garage on the side. It's got an annex on it. Never heard it that way before. But steel roof was built the turn of the century by Art Iron and U.S. Steel. It's not rusted. It's an amazing structure. And so it's got a circular staircase. When you get to the top, you're 64 feet out of the water. Michigan shoreline, Ohio shoreline, Veterans Memorial Bridge. It's beautiful.
Just beautiful. And you're on your way. You want to preserve this thing, but it costs a ton of money. You say you raised $40,000 through personalized windows that you're
My Lighthouse
selling?
Window Capital Campaign. We've got a grant for $500,000 to put in windows, doors, tuck the brick, and some shutters. And there's a $138,000 match. So we came up with a My Lighthouse Window campaign, which is 70-some windows in the lighthouse, and we've sold probably about 25% of them for about 40,000 of the 138 we need.
Little ways to go.
Little ways to go, but you know, we started out with 10 people in our organization. It's an all-volunteer nonprofit, and we're almost 600 strong now from 15 states. We have a gentleman in town this weekend from Maine who was at the lighthouse with the Coast Guard when the tornado happened at the Point Place. The window above him blew out. He's purchased that window for his family and for the memories of it. So some pretty cool stuff happens.
And this is the festival. It is the Waterfront Festival. Day 1 was yesterday.
Right.
Day 2 going on today. We understand it should be cooler today.
Thank
Maybe
God.
a little bit of the edge off after kind of a brutal stretch.
Right.
But this is a big deal. Most of the money here goes toward the
all money
renovation?
from the organization goes, I mean, we have to pay for insurance, and actually we pay for the submerged lands lease and things like that, but it goes to the lighthouse and its restoration, the dock. We put the lens in the lodge at Maumee Bay State Park. So everything goes to the lighthouse.
I think you've had pictures on your website of the actual festival in the past.
Yes.
We've had, a lot of music and entertainment.
It's been a lot of fun.
But at the nuts and bolts of this lighthouse, I guess, as we take another shot of the lighthouse itself, what made you decide that you want to get involved in this? I mean, it's a major effort. We had you on a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Kind of just getting started on this. What was the impetus that said, I want to raise this money and return this lighthouse to its lore of yesteryear?
Well, it started out in 2003, and there were about 10 of us sat in the lobby at Maumee Bay State Park and thought we should do something because the lighthouse was going to be 100 years old in 2004, and we wanted to celebrate that. May 23rd was the dedication, so we had a festival to celebrate it. At first we thought we would just be the supporting group, that someone else like Metro Parks, DNR, or someone else would actually do the restoration. But as time went on and government the way it is, we understood that if we didn't take it upon ourselves, it probably was not going to happen. And the Toledo Lighthouse is really a jewel. I mean, people here...
What makes it different?
The size of it, 4,000 square feet. It's not a cylinder like so many lighthouses.
Right.
It's, it's recognizable. When you see Toledo Lighthouse, you'll know it, with the buff brick and the roof and everything. It actually was there and built at the turn of the century because Turtle Island, along the Toledo Shipping Channel, the ice out of the Maumee River took it down a couple times. So they put the Toledo Lighthouse up and built it really, really well.
Take us on a tour here, if you can.
That's
Sandy.
the inside of
where it needs some work.
It needs some work, obviously. It's second, third floor. Those are the windows. There's a mannequin in one of the windows. That's the phantom of the lighthouse. This is the top of the light in the tower at the very top of it. It was replaced in 1995. The original Fresnel lens is at Maumee Bay State Park. And then outside of this area is actually a walkway where you can actually walk around and see the outside. That's the staircase. There's the cylinder staircase that was built by Art Iron. Again, at the turn of the century, they took a horse and a wagon out and on ice. They were Dick Schlager talked about it. Very cold, very difficult, challenging experience. But the inside of it is quite large amongst lighthouses, and it's really pretty cool. These are the rooms in the second and third floor.
You can see where the cost comes into play.
You can see. We're
renovating this 4,000 square feet. I mean,
well, we have to put in infrastructure. There's no electricity out there. And the first phase, the windows are cement block and plexiglass. So we're starting with that part, and then we're going to do the wiring, the plumbing, some wastewater treatment, that sort of thing.
All right, so you've got day 2, weather permitting. You're going to do boat rides out there, right?
Absolutely, we hope, yes. And we're getting people for the first time in the festival in the lighthouse, weather depending.
That's a big deal, isn't it? That people can be up close, take a look up close at where their dollars would go.
Absolutely, because they can really get a feel for it. You know, it's amazing because people have gone around it for years in boats, and people from outside the area really want to see it. So they're really pretty emotional about the experience. We had 107 people go back through on August 27th last year, and it was probably the most touching and kind of reinforcing the effort and making you feel good about the efforts that you're doing, because people were really appreciative of the opportunity to go out. And when we restore it, there'll be somebody out there all the time, and then you can kids can go out and see it, civic groups and things can actually go out and tour it.
I tend to think I grew up in Michigan, of the northern lighthouses at the tip of the Mint.
Right.
Which are so historic.
Absolutely.
And that's what this was all about too. Trying to kind of return it to its grandeur of yesteryear. Right?
Absolutely. We're hoping Ohio will actually, there's Lorraine and Fairport Harbor and Ashtabula and Marblehead. There's some great lighthouses in Ohio. We don't celebrate them enough, and we hope maybe this will help to keep that going and maybe get the state of Ohio more involved in our lighthouses too.
All right, Sandy Ben, thanks very much. Best of luck in this ongoing effort. Head on out to Maumee Bay State Park today. The festival continues, and you can take a boat ride out to that lighthouse.
10 to 5, great silent auction ends at 4 o'clock with over 200 items.
All right, Sandy Ben, thank you. We're going to come back in just a minute. Justin Ryan, our new meteorologist, talking about the summer of 2012.